Good evening and welcome to the July 27th meeting of Lowell License Commission. Secretary, when was the meeting posted?
Yes.
Number one on the agenda, please.
Starting with the minutes for the meeting of July 13th, 2017.
Move approved by Commissioner McCarthy, seconded by Commissioner Donahue. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you.
Number two on our meeting agenda is the application by Pepper Dining, Inc., doing business as Chili's Grill and Bar. Michael Rabassetti is the manager of record, the all-alcoholic beverages restaurant licensee at 22 Reese Avenue, for change of beneficial interest, that is, new offices. Attorney Andrew Upton of Boston is here. He's legal counsel for Pepper Dining, and he's the representative.
Good evening. State your name for the record, sir.
Good evening, Commissioners. Andrew Upton for the applicant.
Floor is yours, Counselor.
This is a change of beneficial interest, formerly known as a change of officers by the ABCC. At the corporate headquarters, one gentleman is leaving and two more are coming in. The ABCC requires this filing and has pre-approved it for all 23 Chili's restaurants in Massachusetts. So there are no changes to any aspect of the licensee's business here in Lowell or any aspect of any business in Massachusetts.
Secretary, when everything in order? Everything in order?
Yes, it is.
All right. Move for approval by Commissioner Krieger, seconded by Commissioner Howe. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Counsel, have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Commissioner will now take up the application for a special one-day license for malt beverages and wine only, or either one. Manuel Silva of the Portuguese American Civic League. This is a members' picnic of the Portuguese American Civic League, which is Saturday, August 5th, 2017, from 12 noon to 6 p.m. This will be held at the club's parking lot at 512 Central.
Good evening. State your name for the record.
Manuel Silva.
How are you, Mr.
Manager.
Silva?
Good, and you?
Very good. This is a yearly event, correct?
Yes, it is.
And you've held this license before?
Yes, we did.
All right. Captain Webb, any,
No concerns.
no concerns? Thank you very much. Questions or comments from the board?
Move approval.
Move for approval by Commissioner McCarthy, seconded by Commissioner Krieger. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Mr. Silva, good success on your day.
Thank you.
All right.
Commissioner will now proceed with the applications for special events permit for amplified outdoor public entertainment, starting with Manuel Silva of the Portuguese American Civic League for the sound system for the members' picnic at the parking lot at 512 Central Street for Saturday, August 5th, from 12 noon to 6 p.m. Vincente Dalmaso of the Life's Connection Center for a sound system for the food festival to be held at the JFK Plaza, Saturday, August 26th, from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. And also we have Suzanne Cromwell being represented by Julia Galvin of the Lowell Film Collaborative, the sound system for outdoor film series, Thursday, August 3rd. I believe August 3rd is not now in a factor, but I think Julia can speak to that. August 24th is another date, and August 31st, 2017, from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., the North Common Park, and Julia Gavin is the representative.
Could you all state your name for the record, please, at the lectern?
Manuel Silva.
Thank you, Manny.
Vicente Dalmaso.
Vicente?
Julia Gavin.
Hey, Julia. Julia, tell what's going on with your events, please.
Yes, this is the second year that Lowell Film Collaborative and Action have partnered for this film series. We took a year off last year to wait for funding to come through, but we're excited to get started again. It's just an open, free movie night for families. We'll have Moonstruck and Casablanca, and the one that we'll have to reschedule, that will be added into September, most likely.
Okay, great, thank you. Vicente, have you held this license before?
No, this is the first time.
This is the first time. Has this festival ever happened at JFK Plaza?
No, it did not.
All right, any concerns, Captain Webb?
No concerns, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Questions or comments on the board? Move for-
Casablanca.
Commissioner Krieger likes the movie, so we'll have to okay this. Motion by Commissioner Krieger, seconded by Commissioner Donahue. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All three have been granted. Wish you success in your events.
Thank you.
Commission will now proceed with the application for sidewalk stand for 2017. Is Jeremy McKenna here? Is there a representative for Jeremy McKenna? Is Nadia DeLima is here? She is of I Happy Event Decor at 66 Merrimack Street. He's looking for a seasonal sidewalk stand permit, which runs April through October 2017. Is representative of Cyrus Enterprises, Inc. here, Minna? Representing Sergeant Donald Tooman is First Class Sergeant Miguel Elzaraza. Sorry if I didn't pronounce it correctly. He is representing Sergeant Thurman for the U.S. Army, for the U.S. Army Recruiting Center. This is for the location at 107 Merrimack Street during Lowell Folk Festival weekend, July 28th, July 29th, July 30th, 2017. Gildelke Bentanzas, okay. She is of Emmanuel Boutique, 68 Merrimack Street, also for the Lowell Folk Festival, July 28th, 29th, and 30th, 2017.
Could you all state your name at the lectern, please?
Commissioners, Sergeant First Class Elazares.
Good evening. Just state your name.
Nadia Lima, sorry.
Hi, Nadi.
Yodelke Betances?
Have all three of you held these licenses before? No. No, you have not. Do you understand your responsibilities with these licenses? Yes, sir. You do? All right. Okay, Commissioner Krieger.
So it says, for Nadia, for instance, April to October 2017. This is just bureaucratic language. You haven't been operating this stand since April, have you?
For Nadia? Sorry?
Yeah.
What did you say, sorry?
So you haven't started operating the stand, have you? Okay, good. It's just bureaucratic wording. Thank you. I move approval.
Seconded.
Seconded by Commissioner McCarthy. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion is granted. We'll take the other two if they do come here. Secretary
Anyone
Wynn.
arrived, is anyone here representing Jeremy McKenna?
Jeremy, state your name, please.
So Jeremy McKenna, are you Jeremy?
Yep, Jeremy McKenna for Persona Boutique.
Persona at 57 Market Street for the Lowell Folk Festival, July 28th, 29th, and 30th, 2017.
All right. Have you held as one of these licenses before, Jeremy?
Yes, sir, and just to clarify, 51 Market.
51 Market.
Yep,
Thank you.
just so for paperwork in case.
Okay, the motion was by Commissioner Krieger, second, I believe, was Commissioner McCarthy, so we'll add that into that motion.
Okay, great, thank you.
So the only one that's not here is a representative from Cyrus Enterprises, correct?
Right, and I was told by Minna Rizkala that he wouldn't be available for this meeting tonight because he's to be out of the country, or anticipated being out of the country. And I pointed out to him in my conversation that he should have somebody representing him. At the
Unfortunately,
time we had our conversation, he said that would be the case, so.
unfortunately, if I do remember, and Commissioner Krieger, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we had the same instance last year at this time on a couple of vendors, and we said we weren't going to set a precedent, so I will table this to the end of the session, and if somebody does come here, if not, will be the wish of the body. Next on the agenda.
You're all set.
Thank you.
Commissioner will now proceed with the sixth item on our agenda is the public hearing on the application by the Lowell Steakhouse, Inc., doing business as Bob's Bar and Grill, Robes Barboza, manager, the all-alcoholic beverages restaurant licensee at 490 Central Street, for alteration of premises to add outdoor seating at 590 590 square feet.
Good evening.
Good evening. State your name for the record, sir.
Edward Garno. I'm covering the case for Attorney Demetrius Kafkas, who wasn't available tonight.
Floor is yours, Counselor.
The petitioner seeks to alter the premises. He runs and operates Lowell Steakhouse on 490 Central Street in Lowell. He's looking to alter the premises to include serving of alcoholic beverages to increase the outdoor seating to 590 square feet. This would be similar to some of the establishments in the downtown area where people can sit outside and enjoy beverage while they're outside, like on a porch or patio setting.
How long has he been in business now?
1 year.
1 year? How's business?
It dropped a little.
Dropped a little bit?
Yeah. Beginning was good, then dropped a little. So I'm trying to work this out because a lot of people are talking about downtown has outside seating. I don't have it. You know, it's hot inside, so people want to sit outside a little bit, get the breeze.
All right, 490 Central Street. I'm drawing a blank, I apologize. Where am I on here, 490?
Right up near the Portuguese Club.
Yeah?
Could be the Pulaski.
Okay, I know where you, yeah, got it, yep. All right, so we're looking to do outside seating as well?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
How many seats?
I'm thinking maybe 2, maybe 6 table, probably.
6 tables?
Yeah, 6, 7 tables.
Is that going to be in the front or on the side? Is that going to be in the front of the building or on the side parking lot?
I have a space for the front to 2 tables, and I have a space on the side on North Street for about 4 tables, or 5 tables.
How's your parking?
Parking, no complaints so far, but it's all off-street parking. Next door neighbor, they bought the whole parking lot. Bought the building and the whole parking lot, so.
Now, you've been in the restaurant business a while?
I've been, since 32 years.
Can you tell us about any background you have in the alcohol business?
I'm sorry?
Can you tell us about any past experiences concerning
Well,
alcohol?
I managed Bertucci's restaurant for,
Okay,
since 1999.
thank you.
Since 1999, up to 1996. Then I went to Grassroots in Andover.
Yep.
Worked there until 2005. Managed the restaurant as well.
You see any concerns, Captain Webb, over there with the outside seating and?
As I remember, it's a very small area for any outside tables. We haven't had any problems with this licensee at this location, though.
Okay, all
Mr.
right.
Chairman, if I just may interject. Initially, when this matter came to my attention,
Yep.
I advised the licensee or legal representation for the licensee to contact the city engineer to ensure the License Commission that they would not encroach on the sidewalk, the city's public way, because they do not have permission to be on city property. And so, in any event, whatever tables there are to be set up, if there are to be set up, will have to be on private property.
Thank you, Ryan.
It's a halfway, on North Street, it's halfway fenced in.
Yep,
And my plan is fenced in exactly as the building with the bricks. So
Mm-hmm.
we half brick fenced plus metal fence on top of the brick, you know,
All right.
nice. So it looks
so we're looking at about 20 extra people out there, 20 to 25, would you say?
probably, yeah.
Okay, all right. Any other further questions, Commissioners?
Move approval.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Ryan.
This is a public hearing. I
Oh, I
believe there may be a
apologize.
gentleman to speak.
I'm sorry?
There was a gentleman, I
Yep,
believe, in which
I'll
may
open up the
speak.
public hearing, thank you. At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing. Anybody like to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? Hearing no one, that portion of the public hearing is closed. At this time, we'd like to open up the public hearing. Anybody like to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition?
I don't really have an opposition.
If you're gonna speak, sir, why don't you go up to the lectern, okay? And just state your name if you don't mind, sir.
My name is Daniel Nakamoto, and I'm the Executive Director for the Mental Health Association, which owns 472, 480 Central Street.
Okay.
So we're in a butter.
Yep,
We don't have any issues with the idea of outside dining and beverage being served. Our only concern would be how late.
okay. There's a question for you.
I'm sorry.
How late are you serving,
I don't serve food up to 11 o'clock.
Up to 11
I
o'clock.
only serve food up to 11, and every day, Monday through Sunday. Food is up to 11.
At 11. How about the
Restaurants
alcohol?
close at 11.
How about the alcohol?
Yeah, well, I have a club upstairs that stays open, but they only open Thursday, Friday and Saturday, I'm sorry, it's Friday and Saturday.
All right, so if the food is being stopped at 11,
Yeah,
you're still
10:30
gonna have alcohol being served on the patio?
No, 10:30 is cut, the restaurant is cut off. I mean, 10:30, 11 o'clock, the restaurant is cut off.
No, my question to you is the outside seating.
Oh,
Are
no,
they
no.
gonna be continually being
After,
served?
after 11 o'clock, I will not serve alcohol outside.
Okay, all right. Anybody else like to speak in opposition? In opposition?
Yes, Mr. Nakamoto, if he's.
Sure, Commissioner. Nakamoto, Mr. Nakamoto, can you step up? Commissioner Krieger would like to ask you a question.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Are you happy with those hours?
I guess I was a little confused on what days it is. 11 o'clock, if you're working and whatever, is kind of late if it's a lot of noise. I don't know how much noise it will be. I would prefer not earlier than 11 o'clock, but, it really depends upon how much noise it is and how many people are out there.
Do you have patients in your building at night?
Yes, it's a residential program for people with mental illness. It's their home.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Commissioner Donahue, Commissioner Howe?
I actually,
Sure, Commissioner Howe?
for Mr. Nakamoto, please. How many patients are usually in the building?
6.
And how far away would their locations be from this sidewalk?
150 feet, maybe, 100, I think.
Would you say from here to the mayor's reception room? At the end of the hall?
Oh, no, it's a third that. It's pretty close.
Are you saying from here to that door?
Oh. Little more, I think, right? I mean,
I think it's double.
yeah,
All right.
Between his building to my building, if it's 4 cars parked one behind each other. And I'm looking to have my table on the North Street, which is the opposite side of the building, which will be about 200 feet from his house.
I would say 3 cars, but I'm not sure about 4. I think that's stretching it a little bit, but I didn't think to measure the
Okay.
And
distance.
All right.
what floors would these residents be on?
First and second.
Thank you.
Okay.
So you're going to serve up until 11 o'clock?
Yeah, well, the
So-
food serves up to 11 o'clock, and I'm.
So somebody could come in at 11 o'clock and sit at the tables and be there till midnight?
It's cut off at 11, at 10:30, I'll cut off alcohol. That means the restaurant closed because the cooks close leaves at 11 o'clock, so they start cleaning.
So the cooks leave at 11, so you can't get food after 11 o'clock?
No. Oh, they can get food inside, appetizer,
Right.
food.
Commissioner Donahue?
Are you saying that there'll be nobody outside after 11 o'clock?
11 o'clock will be nothing served outside.
Nothing served outside?
Okay. I would say this. My personal opinion is, let's give this a go. But, Mr. Nakamoto, if you do have concerns, please call the police, and we'll try to remedy this. I don't want this to get out of control. I understand, especially with the patients that they have there. But I think 11 o'clock is reasonable, and not to serve alcohol after 10:30 is what you just said.
10:30, yeah. It's
Okay,
10:30
I
stop,
think
11
I-
o'clock cut off.
I'm okay with that, my own.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Sure.
as far as amplification, will there be any amplification?
Was there an
gonna
has
have
there been an
outside-
application
Are you having
for
out-
amplification?
No, there is not, but I don't, sometimes people have like a little sound system to accompany the diners while they're,
Is that your plan?
Well, on the North Street, on the street which is Central Street, which is near the facility.
Yeah.
His facility is on the opposite side, on the other side of the building. It'll
What do
be
you-
closer to him, or the Portuguese club,
All right, what are you planning for entertainment? Are you-
On the other side.
What are you planning, though?
Music so you can, enjoy your dinner up to that time.
Dinner music?
Yeah.
Are we talking acoustic guitars? Are we talking amplification?
Speaker music, little
So,
speaker
Mr.
music.
Is it just radio music, or are you having a band?
I have, no, I don't, I have a band upstairs on Friday and Saturday.
Right.
Upstairs, second floor.
All right, I'm worried about outside.
Oh, no band.
Oh, okay, all right. I feel much better. Any other further questions? All right. Do I have a motion on the floor?
Move approval.
Move for approval by Commissioner McCarthy, seconded by Commissioner Krieger. All in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Motion passes. Be well, be a good neighbor.
Thank you.
All right?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Krieger?
I'd like for it to be
This
the
matter needs the-
consensus of the commission that Mr. Nakamura feel free to come back if he feels that this is not working out well.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just want to let the applicant know that this does require state approval as well, so it may take another week or two.
Understand that, Counsel?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Next on the agenda,
The public hearing, too, yeah. It's a public hearing.
thank you, Ryan. Just for the burger joint, huh?
Commission will now proceed with the seventh item on our meeting agenda, which is the public hearing on the application by the entity known as Spiros and Company, Inc., doing business as Lowell Burger Company, Nicholas J. Spiros, Director, for an all-alcoholic beverages restaurant license for premises at 143 Merrimack Street, which would entail three rooms, total square footage of 2,564 square feet. There will be an outdoor patio of 440 square feet. The proposed new manager would be Nicholas Spiros, and they have applied license for common vittler and entertainment in a licensed restaurant for live music, disc jockey, and jukebox.
Good evening, state your name for the record.
Nicholas J. Spiros.
Nick, how are you?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
Good. See some work being done over there? How's it going?
It's going well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Getting excited?
I'm always excited.
Attaboy. Tell us about it. Tell us about the whole thing.
So Lowell Burger Company is something that we've been thinking over for a couple of years, and we decided, my partner Toby and I decided to move forward at the old Bishop space, Lebanese space, that area there. And we just basically revamped it. It's kind of a cool place inside, and we just wanted to do food, drinks, a full bar, and have the outdoor patio with about, I think we're doing 16 or 18 seats out there, so it's probably like 7 or 8 tables. And we'd like to have liquor out there as well.
Mm-hmm.
No music. Probably, we're not planning on doing any amplified music outside either. Just inside.
Okay. Are you opening up this weekend?
We are.
Nice.
We're actually open at 7 o'clock tonight.
Are you really?
Oh, as soon as I get back.
Better get them that license quick.
That's fine. No, we're not doing any liquor at all. We can't do that now.
I
So
know,
we're
I'm
waiting
just
on this.
Well, it's good to see a business coming into
Thank
the
you.
city. Commissioner Krieger?
Is this sort of on the Red Robin pattern?
No, well, it's a little upscale. I mean, it's more upscale than that. We're using all pasture-raised cattle and lamb and things like that. So it's all, it's a little bit more, it's not super expensive, but it's a little bit more expensive than Red Robin would be, yeah. But inventive. I'm a chef. I have to be creative once in a while.
Is it all burgers, or what's the whole menu like?
It's burgers, and the appetizers are a little bit more sort of fun and inventive. We've got a couple of salads and things like that, so it'll be fun.
Are you open on Mondays?
The goal right now is to be open 7 days a week. If I start to falter, my brain doesn't work anymore, then maybe we'll cut it down. But I'm hoping to be open at least 6 to 7 days a week, yeah.
Make any changes in the kitchen, everything the same in there, pretty much?
Yeah, just we shifted a couple things around, but other than
Yep.
that, it's pretty much standard there.
That's great.
We've gotten all the everything's okayed by the city and.
Yep. Fantastic. All right, we're going to open up the public hearing at this time. We'll open up the public hearing. Anybody like to speak in favor? In favor, in favor. Hearing no one, that portion of the public hearing is closed. At this time, we'll open up the public hearing. Anybody like to speak in opposition? In opposition, in opposition. Hearing no one, that portion of the public hearing is closed. What is the wish of the body? Commissioner Donahue.
Thank you. The outside seating, as I remember, La Boniche had, are you going to use the same footprint as?
Yes. I mean, we may, we have the same table, so we're just going to use the same footprint, so there's this sort of slate patio-looking thing out there that's, we sort of have figured out, that gives the required 4 feet to the curb.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Commissioner. Move for approval by Commissioner Krieger, seconded by Commissioner Howe. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Want to wish you the best of luck in the city
I
of Lowell.
appreciate it. Thank
All
you
right,
so much.
We'll be around.
I hope so. Thanks.
Take care.
Good to see you. Good night.
Proceeding with number 8 on the meeting agenda, we have the application by the entity known as Drum Hill Autos, Inc., John P. Fotopoulos, the president, for used car dealer license Class 2 for premises at 1184 Westford Street, this being an open lot of 27,409 square feet with office and building on site. Presently, we have a 2017 licensee known as the Highline Group, Inc., Charles P. Fotopoulos, president. The licensee is subject to the following condition, which would be the maximum number of display spaces is 85 in accordance with Zoning Board of Appeals condition set on August 27, 2012. Is John Fotopoulos here? I'm sorry.
We'll put it to the end of the agenda if he's here, okay?
Proceeding with number 9 on the meeting agenda, just for the record, we have an application by the Liquor Shop, Inc., George M. Miamis, manager, all alcoholic beverages package store licensee at 1201 Bridge Street for alteration of licensed premises. This would be 3 rooms, 7,370 square feet, 4 entrances, 4 exits. For License Commission ratification would be the publication of the legal notice for Friday, July 28, 2017 in the local newspaper, and to have the public hearing take place on August 10th, 2017.
Motion by Commissioner Donahue, seconded by Commissioner Howe to schedule a public hearing for August 10th. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Okay. Commission now proceed with number 10 on the meeting agenda. The first of 3 hearings. First is the hearing on the allegation of misconduct as charged in a communication to the License Commission by Captain Jonathan C. Webb of the Lowell Police Department, dated July 5th, 2017, regarding allegations of misconduct against the licensee Alexander LLC, doing business as Vibe Restaurant and Lounge, Alexei M. Torres, manager, the all-alcoholic beverages restaurant licensee at 179 Central Street. This pertains to an incident on the date of June 12, 2017.
State your name for the record, please.
Sure, this is Attorney Michael Zame for Alexander LLC. I have the manager of record, Alexei Torres, with me.
But, do you mind we waive the complaint, Counselor?
That's no objection.
Thank you. Proceed.
This incident arises out of, it appears, an incident took place on June 12th of 2017. And from the information that we have, from the reports that it happened outside the establishment, I have not seen any evidence in any of the reports that suggest that any of the people were in the nightclub prior to the incident occurring. My client is here with me. He was on the premises that evening. The gentleman who was Mr. Pedro Azuaga is also here. He was an employee who was working that night. There were 2 other employees that were working that night that are not here, and for reasons I'll explain later. But interestingly, Sergeant Damaris's report states that he arrived on the scene. It was a quite chaotic scene. There was emergency personnel tending to the victims who had been apparently stabbed at appears to be one of 3 locations, one being 171 Central Street, one being 143 Central Street, and the other one being in the area of 27 Jackson Street. The sergeant formed the opinion that the people were either patrons of the Vibe or intended to be patrons of the Vibe. But we don't have any information as to who these people are. The information that we received from the city of Lowell in its complaint are all the information has been redacted as far as being able to interview any people or go out and do any sort of investigation on our own. We asked the city to produce that documentation. They refused to do so, citing public record disclosure laws based upon an active criminal investigation. So we don't have any evidence that, and there's nothing in any of the reports that tell us whether these people were or were not. And I don't think the police know.
Okay. Sergeant Damaris? You heard Attorney Zame. Could you chime in?
Yes, I did. Good evening.
Hi. You heard Attorney Zame. Do you have any comments to his comments?
Yes, just to clarify the issue about where the stabbings occurred, I think he indicated that the report stated that there were 3 separate locations where stabbings may have occurred. That's not necessarily correct. We had one individual that was stabbed 40 to 50 feet away from the property of 179 Central Street for Club Vibe. That location was at 171. That was when one male was stabbed at that location. Further down at approximately in the area of 143 Central Street, there was what we had as a crime scene, a potential crime scene. There was blood on that location. There was another male at the location of the initial stabbing that was also cut in the face. And there were 2 people located that had left the scene that we had got reports from other people that they were located at 27 Jackson Street, but they were involved in the incident at 171 Central Street. They were only located by other officers suffering their injuries in the area of 27 Jackson Street. So all the incidents actually occurred in the area of 171 Central Street.
At any time, did you ask any of those individuals if they had come out of the Vibe Club?
No.
Okay. The other gentleman, Attorney Zane, that's there, is he the security for Club Vibe, or?
This gentleman here is Pedro Azuaga.
Okay, so Pedro, step up to the lectern. Just state your name for the record, please.
My name is Pedro Oswago.
How you doing today? All right?
Good.
Good. So this happened at 1:14 a.m. Was security at the door? Did they see anything at all?
Yes, what happened, was not in front of our establishment. It was far to the left, about 25 yards.
Would that be around 141 Central Street, would you say?
Yes.
How many people are we talking here, Sergeant Damaris, that were, would you say, congregated within that 25 yards?
If I could,
Sure.
I may have to defer initial. I was on another call, and I came to the scene probably 11 to 12 minutes after the call I was dealing with. I came over.
Yeah.
Officer Kingan, who was here, I think was there before I was, and observed more of the chaotic scene.
Come on
than
up,
I did.
officer.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Can you expand upon what Sergeant Damaris was just trying? He got to the scene a little bit later than you did. So how many people would you say congregated in that area? And
So when I arrived, I was the 3rd officer to arrive, the best that I could see.
yeah,
what I observed was one male victim on the ground in front of 171 Central Street with 2 officers rendering medical aid, and I would say a crowd of at least 50 people surrounding the officers and victims.
And what do we end up having, 12 officers sent to the scene, Captain Webb, is that what happened? I'm just having a difficult time understanding that 40 to 50 people were walking up and down Central Street at 1:14 in the morning.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. We had 12 officers responded to the scene. Some of them were tied up there until 4 a.m. attending to police duties connected with the disturbance.
All right. I'm going to yield the floor to the other commissioners on any questions that they may have. Commissioner McCarthy?
You were in charge of security that night? You in the door that night, sir?
I was in and out of the place because we were making sure inside was safe. Make sure that when this was happening, I was letting know our clients that if their car is parked to the left, to make sure they go around, around.
But you told the sergeant you saw 10 or 15 people having a fight outside?
Did I say to the sergeant? Yes, I said there was people away. I can't count them. I mean, I've seen a lot of people. I'm not saying 10 or 15. There was about 10 or 15.
But at no time did you call the police for help?
No, at the same time, we were closing, people were coming out. At the same time this incident was happening. So kids were coming out, so my job is make sure they don't come out with alcohol.
So when they were coming out, you were at the door?
Yes.
So you were at the door, you didn't see outside at all?
Yeah, he did.
Yes, I saw outside. My job was, first we have to clear the sidewalk when they come out. So our job is clear the sidewalk, make sure no clients come out with alcohol. So I'm outside, but the fight's to my left.
Okay.
So I can't leave my spot to go over to that spot.
I understand. Commissioner Krieger, did you have a question?
Yeah, I think I'm back to, you observe things within sight and hearing, but you don't report them to the police? What if there'd been a guy shooting a gun? Would you have reported that to the police?
Would I report that to the police if they were shooting with a gun or any incident if the police officer asked me? Yes, what I seen, I didn't know if they were stabbing someone. I couldn't see 25 yards where I'm standing.
You could see that it was a fight?
Yes, I seen there was a fight.
Okay. Commissioner Donoghue?
I'm also attending our clients.
How many people on security that night?
4.
4. Where were the other 3 stationed?
2 at me and 2 inside and 2 outside.
Okay. We don't have the other 2 that were outside, do we? Here tonight?
No, they're not here, no.
It's-
If I may elaborate on that, Mr.
Sure,
Commissioner?
Attorney, go ahead.
A couple things. We were here the last time on June 22nd. We're here today just about a little bit over a month, and there's been a flurry of activity, the 12th, the 19th, and then July 11th. So as these things have been happening, now we're here at this meeting, and we've had an opportunity to take my client has taken some steps to take some corrective action. 2 of those were firings, and 1 was a suspension. It started progressively with a verbal retraining. That didn't seem to take, 2 of them didn't take that advice, and then something else happened, and then, so there's been 2 terminations and a 2-week paid, suspension of someone without pay. So there's been, and that's why I suspect that they weren't too, when I called them and asked them if they could be here tonight in response to one of the emails I received from the city yesterday regarding what witnesses they'd like to call. Unfortunately, they didn't think it too highly when I called them and asked them to be here.
Right. Would one of those firings be a security personnel of the 2 that were out front in the street that night?
One of the ones was a gentleman that was in that, whether or not he was out front at the time, I'm not sure. Another one was an inside person who again, had had other issues before and subsequent to this, so he's been terminated. Those were the three, I think I got 4 names of people that they would have liked to speak and, like to have called here tonight.
The 4 people that are for security that night, are those pretty much the same people that you have every night? Friday and Saturday night, I mean?
No, we rotate.
You rotate. How many security personnel do you have?
We have 7.
7, okay.
And if I could go back, and I understand Commissioner Krieger's sentiment of, you see something happening, call the police. But if you go to the actual rules, and again, whether he had a moral obligation to call the police or to reach out to them and say, hey, I have something we have something going on in the street. Their doors were closed at 1 o'clock. Prior to that, Mr. Torres will testify and answer any questions you'd like. Mr. Azuaga is, saying we had no problems in here. We had a good night. There was no tensions, no sign of tensions, nothing.
Why did you close at 1?
What's that? Because it was a Sunday night.
Oh, okay.
So it was Sunday going into Monday morning, so it wasn't a typical.
Got it. Thank you.
So that was the reasoning for that. So there was no, there was nothing in his, nothing that led them to believe that there was nothing that happened inside, nothing that led them to believe that something was going to happen outside. Where these people came from, none of the people recognize any of the people. There were some names that were mentioned in the paper as to who some of the parties involved were. None of them rang a bell with any of these people. And again, whether or not they've been questioned, like the police have done on other occasions when there's an incident at one of the clubs, they do a follow-up investigation. They go out and they've called in witnesses and they've said, where were you? What have you, where did you go? Where did you drink? What did you do? And I note all these reports. None of the reports mention that any of these people that were involved in these incidents were intoxicated. There's no mention of alcohol. There's no mention of being overserved. There's no mention of that.
How many patrons did we have at the club at 1 o'clock?
I would say about like 75 patrons.
1 o'clock on a Sunday night. Pretty good.
And is going back to the rule under 1.20 of the License Commission rules requires that the manager shall notify the police whenever a violation of law, disorder, disturbance is taking place or about to take place on the licensed premises or other premises approved by the License Commission for sale, service of alcoholic beverages. So with respect to that, and again, that's the rule. So Mr. Azuaga, Mr. Torres was on, he had no indication that there was any problem in the facility. By the time he learned that something was going on outside, there were lights and cruisers already had responded, and there was no indication to him that any of these people were from there. Now I understand when the officers got there, and from reading the reports, it appears to be a very chaotic scene. There was one person who got stabbed and got cut in the face, and he saw nothing. And then you have somebody else that was on the ground, and the police officers were tending to him. And Sergeant Damaris had a lot of other concerns going on that night. That could he have asked more questions? But again, he had a job to do. He did his job. He secured the scene, gathered information. But he asked my client, Mr. Zwegas, one of the employees there, asked him if he had called the police. He said no, because he didn't. Why he didn't? There was no follow-up to that. Why he didn't call the police? He didn't have a phone with him, and secondly, he didn't have his cell phone on him. And secondly, the next part of that is he had said someone had already called it. I already called the police.
To this, if you'd like your witness to testify to that, I think that's not objectionable. But where that isn't in evidence, if it's not in the police report and it hasn't been given by the.
With all due respect, this is the informal rules of evidence, and you didn't provide us with the information.
No, I'm saying that if you're saying that Mr.
Azuaga
is, that was his reason, then perhaps we could hear from him.
As I just stated, that if the commissioners want to ask him the questions, they certainly can.
All right, well, could I ask him? Could I ask? So what was your reason for not calling the police?
I was attending the clients coming out.
And how long was the fight occurring outside the bar that you saw?
It wasn't outside our bar.
It wasn't,
No. It was 25 yards to the left to our bar.
but you could see the fight occurring. Is that correct?
Could I see the fight? I could
Yes.
see a lot of people scrambling around.
Okay. How many people?
It's about 15 to 20 people.
Okay. And how long did you see that occurring?
About 4 to 5 minutes.
Okay. Did you hear anything?
Excuse me?
Did you hear anything?
No.
Okay. Thanks.
How soon after did the police arrive at the scene? How soon after did the fight occur that the police were on the scene?
About 5 minutes right after.
Okay. Commissioner McCarthy, did you have a
I'm all
question?
set, you asked the question, John.
Commissioner Donahue, go ahead.
Thank you. Sergeant Damaris, basically, we just can't place any of the people as clients of the bar on that night. Although, I'm sure we all have a good idea of what it was. We can't place any of those people on the street inside the bar.
After being on scene, I formed the opinion, based upon my observations of the area, my knowledge of the area, working that shift for a number of
You
years
spend a
now.
lot of time in that area on Central Street, and
Club Vibe was the only business open on the block from Jackson Street down to Market Street.
I'd say this board is getting some bad vibes because of what's going on there. But the fact of the matter is, we can't just place anybody inside the bar. Although, as I say, we know. There's no personal knowledge or personal observations of that.
Hannah?
Like I said, go ahead.
Oh, if we could call Sergeant Murray up, he's also here today and I think did some follow-up investigation on this incident.
All right. Just state your name at the lectern, please.
Joseph Murray. I'm the sergeant in charge of the Lowell Police Department's Criminal Bureau. My job and the detectives that work for me to investigate these sorts of things.
All right.
We've spoken to two of the victims. They say they were in the bar and the fight, the altercation started inside the bar, which led to what happened outside. Further, a short time later, the DJ who was working at this club that night, his house on Temple Street was shot up. So whatever transpired inside the bar led not only to the 3 people being stabbed, but it led to a shooting at a residence in a very congested part of the city. I think the most problematic thing here is, what you're going to hear in another case that I was asked to come forward tonight also, is the complete and lack of cooperation that we get when we try to talk to the people at these bars. It's always nothing happened inside, and then when we find out it did, there's no memory of that. There's no video recording systems. There's no evidence that we can use later. To Sergeant Damaris's point and to the, I think it was your question, about 40 or 50 people milling around, this wasn't a Friday or Saturday night where that could possibly happen. This was a early Monday morning. There was no other reason for anybody to be on that street unless they were coming from this establishment. And so, again, 2 of the victims have said they were inside, and that's where the problem started.
When did that shooting transpire on Powell Street?
It was about it was on Temple Street. It was about half an hour later after this fight on Central Street.
Captain, did you have something to say?
No.
All right, thank you. Sure, Commissioner Donahue, sure.
With the sergeant, you have talked to at least 2 people that were inside the bar.
My detectives have, yes.
I'm sorry?
My detectives have,
Your
yes, as part of this
detectives have, okay.
investigation.
We have somebody inside.
Yes, we do.
Thanks very much.
Commissioner Krieger?
Yeah, Attorney Pappenheim, is the city pursuing or the county pursuing criminal charges with regard to this, with regard to anybody involved?
So I haven't been in touch with the district attorney's office, so I'm not sure what charges they may or may not be pursuing, but my understanding is that that this is an open investigation. It hasn't been concluded, and one of the documents that was provided as part of this hearing is actually resulted in the arrest of someone, which implicates the quarry law as well. So if the question is about the redaction of the names and the information. It would be my advice that for now, the victims' names be withheld.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, my sense is that our rules probably aren't quite as crisp as they need to be. Maybe we need to revisit the rules. Maybe we can get help from our citizens on how those rules should be written. But it's my sense that security standing out on the street should have picked up and should have called, even if it was a redundant call. But given the facts as we know them, I'm not sure we have anything here.
Anybody at the lectern have any final statements? Attorney Zane?
For the record, is it, the city of Lowell produced to me, didn't produce to me Sergeant Murray's report, or the detective's report that supposedly spoke to these witnesses. So as far as that goes, I mean, just for the record, is that I think that one of the rules under the 1.18 requires the police to give us all of the information, not just to pick and choose what they want to give to us. So for the record, I need to object to any testimony that Sergeant Test, just to preserve any type of appeal that might be necessary.
Do we have a response from legal counsel?
Sure, so I was just informed, we have Sergeant Murray here for a different incident at 5, actually. So I was just informed tonight that in the follow-up investigation that this information had been uncovered. So I also do not have the report and not withholding it.
Did Attorney Zane get a copy or not?
No, but I guess what I'm saying is that I also don't have a copy. It's not as if I had the report and didn't turn it over.
Okay. Now, go ahead, Commissioner McCarthy.
There's no question in my mind that this event started inside the establishment. However, it's very hard to prove that. I think you need to train your security staff in the rules that we have. And you sat on this board at one time, Attorney Zane, and didn't you rewrite the rules?
With all due respect, Mr. Commissioner, I did not sit on this board.
You didn't?
No.
What a disappointment.
He wanted to, but he didn't.
I thought you wrote the new rules. But anyways, what I'm saying is, he has a responsibility to notify the police department. And he should do that. So you need to train your staff.
Personally, I understand that, once your doors are open and people walking down the street and something that happens, it's almost impossible to stop. But I have to concur with Commissioner McCarthy that, my point was, what I was trying to make was, we had 4 security people on that night, 2 were inside, but 2 were at the outside of the door. And I'm thinking that they should have, at least, maybe we need to start carrying some type of microphone so you guys could talk to each other. But it looks like those 2 who are not here tonight did not contact you, and you're basically the head of security there, correct? Yes. All right, so nobody told you where you could have then called the police. So I think there's a lack of communication there. I think something needs to be done. If it's something that can't be yelled at, call the police, you might have to have some type of, microphone, not microphone, but what do you call those things? Yeah, walkie-talkies. Because
It's worth the investment.
I think so. All right, I think we need to do that, all right? It's very difficult to control what's gonna happen on the sidewalk, I do understand that. I do concur with my commissioners. I think the people that this happened, it happened in your club. I mean, at 1:14 on a Monday morning. But once again, we can't prove that for sure. So, I would make a motion that we suspend the license for 1 day and hold that suspension in abeyance for 6 months.
Second.
Second by Commissioner McCarthy. All in favor signify by saying
I'd like to speak on that motion.
Sure, absolutely, Commissioner.
Just as far as discussion, I feel that the failure to maintain order and decorum in the immediately surrounding area, I feel that was violated that night, and that the security has to improve drastically, because the infamous case of Willie Tops in 2012, 2009, there was a fight inside the bar, people were pushed out, and someone was shot and killed. So someone is going to be shot and killed, and the officer's testimony was clear that circumstantial evidence, no other bar in the vicinity was open. So these people obviously were coming from Vibe. So I just want to speak on the motion. I think it's been violated, and I'm going to support the motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next on the agenda.
Proceeding with the 11th item on our meeting agenda, hearing on the allegations of misconduct discharged in a communication to the License Commission by Captain Jonathan C. Webb of the Lowell Police Department, dated July 7th, 2017, regarding allegations of misconduct against Alexander LLC, doing business as Vibe Restaurant and Lounge, Alexei M. Torres, manager, the all alcoholic beverages restaurant licensee at 179 Central Street. This would be the incident dated June 19th, 2017.
State your name for the record, sir.
So Attorney Michael Zame for Alexander LLC.
Once again, Mr. Zame, do you mind if we waive the complaint, reading of the complaint?
No objection.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good evening again. This occurred on a night when the place was actually closed. I believe it was a Monday night, June 19th. Place was closed. The allegation is that Mr. Torres, as the manager, allowed smoking on the premises. Mr. Torres was not on the premises. George Torres was on the premises. The purpose he was there was to replace, they were replacing a cooler that wasn't working. They were waiting for the arrival of the new cooler to replace the old cooler. Apparently, one of the individuals that was on the premises smoked something. Again, my client, I have photographs here of the inside of the club that has no smoking signs, as well as, smoke detectors and things like that. And the rule is, whether he allowed it, and he certainly didn't allow this behavior.
You were alluding to in the prior complaint, Attorney Zame, that a couple of people had been let go. Can I assume that Jorge Torres is one of those?
He's one of our suspendees.
Suspendees?
Yes.
How long is he suspended for?
It was for 2 weeks.
Can I ask your client a question, please?
You certainly can.
Mr. Torres, when you came in front of this board for a license, this board was quite convincing, quite adamant that the prior owners, which now I know that was your cousin, we had a lot of problems there.
Yes.
And we wanted to make sure that you dotted your I's and crossed your T's. You know how Mr. Torres was in that establishment, and here you go, letting him sit in your establishment by himself, smoking whatever. Can I ask you why?
I mean, I asked him the same question. Obviously, I wasn't there that day. I know that he would know better
This
also.
this was his establishment prior, using his own money. Now, this is like a play date, because now he's using your money.
Yeah, I
And he's
understand.
spoiling the reputation of a place that's just opened.
I understand that.
Now, Mr. Zame has just told me that you suspended him.
That is correct.
I would suggest that that suspension be a termination, and have Mr. Torres nowhere near that establishment.
Okay.
This is your bread and butter, Mr. Torres.
No, I understand, and that's
Your
why.
cousin was here on numerous occasions in front of this board and had no idea what he was doing. Now, this board had some faith in you, but you know what? You've taken 2 steps back in my book. So I'm going to yield to the other commissioners, unless, Mr. Zame, were you finished? And I apologize. You good? All right. Commissioner Howe?
How many cameras do you have in the establishment?
It's about 4 cameras.
And have you fixed them? Are they working?
No, not yet. They're not.
What, you would agree that it's important to have cameras in the establishment? Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, now with everything that's been presented in front of me, I feel like that's the best thing that I had to take care of right away. That's gonna protect not only me, but my business, when things like this are being taken in place.
So we have currently 4 matters that I can count with Vibe. So when do you plan on getting the cameras fixed?
I mean, I would say as soon as possible.
This week?
Kind of little, I can try. I mean, I know it's a busy week ahead of me, and I have a lot of, like I know I have to really run a tight shift now, especially that I'm really concerned of the outcome of what can happen. I'm aware of that it's my name on the line, my business, and there's a lot of improvements I need to do with the establishment.
So within a week, will you have the cameras up and running?
Yeah, I can make some calls to try to get that installed. For this
Thank
week.
you.
Maybe your cousin Jorge can give you a loan. Commissioner Krieger.
What was the can of gasoline doing in the establishment?
It's not on this one, is it?
We got the same story that Sergeant, I think Officer Rivera or Sergeant Murray got, that somebody had run out of gas and that it was that he had helped somebody fill in gas or something like that. Again, we got the same story, and obviously it wasn't acceptable to my client.
Officer Rivera, can you expound upon that?
Yes, sir. Jonathan Rivera, patrol officer.
Thank you. So tell us about the can.
Right, I was first called to the area on the 16th. I was walking the route, downtown route, and I was called over. It was reported by the firefighters that they saw 1 or 2 males within the club, and they saw a gas container on top of a table. As soon as they stopped their engine truck, they approached towards the club, and at that time, they saw the male grab the container and flee from within the club. So I responded at that time per the captain as well as the CIB detective, Sergeant Murray as well. And as soon as we got there, it was basically the entire place was locked up and there was no presence inside. I went towards the front and the rear. The doors were locked. As I waited for the front, they stated that they made contact with the Lexi, who was going to arrive on scene in a couple minutes. At that time, while we waited, I could just smell freshly burnt marijuana from within that perimeter.
With a can of gas in there.
Right.
Awesome. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Commissioner.
it strikes me that whoever was inside thought that having a gas can inside was a bad idea. Would we agree with that?
I would agree. There were several bad ideas going on that evening.
Commissioner Donahue.
Council, bad ideas. How many people have keys to this establishment?
Now, 1.
At what, and I would ask Mr. Torres, how often is he there? It seems as though every police report I've seen, they're talking to a manager or someone else who's in as a manager for the night, but he's not there. It appears that he is...
Are you asking how often he's there?
He's there. It seems as though he's not working the business and he's leaving it to others, and that's not a good idea in this type of a business.
If I may, is it this night, the place was not open?
Right.
So I think he's only open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So this wasn't a night that the club was open.
I understand that, yeah.
He had a key for that to get in, to go in to get the cooler and deliver the new one and take the old one out.
Indicated in one report that he was sleeping there at night.
Yeah,
He was using it as his residence.
I mean, from my understanding, he lives in New Jersey. I know that I was told that he's currently, he was, for the time, staying at his grandmother's house, which is just down the street from the establishment.
Just seems odd that someone's sleeping in an establishment and you don't know it. It appears to me that you're not on top of the business. That's my opinion. And I'm very nervous that you're gonna have problems, as Sergeant Murray's already said, they just continue to add up, and it's gonna be a loss for you. And I don't think we're gonna put up on the board with a lot of problems. You know, even if they are outside the club, when we have people that we know were in the club prior to incidents outside. But I think, I'm not seeing your name in the police reports like you're not there. You're out. One report, I remember, somebody was sick and you weren't there, but it doesn't seem you're paying full attention to it. I don't know if somebody else that shouldn't be there is running the show, or had been running the show.
Hannah?
Could I ask Sergeant Murray a few questions?
Sure.
Sergeant, were you at this scene as well?
I was.
Were you called there? Okay. And what observations did you make inside the bar?
I observed that there was like an alcove area with a bench. On that bench was a pillow and a blanket with a portable fan set up, blowing directly on it. When I first discussed that with Alexei Torres, who was the first one on the scene, he claimed not to know anything about it. When his cousin finally showed up, George, he admitted that he'd been sleeping there. I also made observations of a couple pairs of sneakers that were laying around in the bar, a couple of shirts that were in areas of the bar that, had it been open, would have been in public view. Alexei Torres said that they weren't his. When George arrived, he admitted that that was his clothing.
Did George...
I further made observations of, I went through the entire place while I was there, that there's absolutely no stock in the bar or restaurant. There was absolutely no food whatsoever. The keg room in the basement, where you would typically set up the kegs and have them run the taps up to the actual bar, there was nothing there. The lines were there, but there was nothing attached to them. There was no cases of beer or hard liquor in the storage areas. It appears to be a fly-by-night operation. There's something seriously wrong with this establishment.
Did George tell you how long he had been staying there?
Just that he'd been sleeping there. He didn't say for how long.
Okay.
George was very difficult to talk with. Everything that he would admit to, it took a great length of time to get him to say anything.
And did you notice the same smell as Officer Rivera?
I did.
Okay. Thanks. Those are all the questions I have.
Alexei, have you been making purchases from distributors?
Yes.
All right. I'd like you to produce those and hand them into Secretary Wynn.
Okay.
So be it from Anheuser-Busch or Merrimack, from beer?
Merrimack and Horizon.
And Horizon as well. Okay, great. If you could produce those for me. Thank you.
Yep.
Commissioner Krieger.
Yeah, I think that we should invite Mr. Torres back at our next meeting to discuss the cameras, and that we should schedule that now with the Executive Secretary. I also believe that we should suspend the license for one day during the period when they're open, period.
Yeah.
If I could just be heard on a few points.
Sure, go right ahead.
So first, I just wanted to clarify the smoking violation, even though it occurred, and really all of the violations, even though the manager isn't present, is responsible for everything that happens in the bar, whether they are present or not. And it doesn't seem to me that Mr. Alexei Torres is being completely forthcoming as to how long his cousin was staying in the bar, or what the arrangement was, if he had a key to get in and he had clothes and pillows and blankets there. And it wasn't initially forthcoming with Sergeant Murray either until his cousin showed up. So I think that, especially given the previous incident that we just discussed, that this is a fairly serious progression, and I just wanted to make that known.
All right. Any further comments from the board? Commissioner Donahue?
I just have a question. Did we at a prior meeting suspend the license for one day and held that in abeyance? Also, my recollection, we had a hearing on.
I think we placed something on file, didn't we?
Did we place it on file?
I think we did.
I think we did. So, plus we have to take this as three separate instances
Right.
tonight. So we have a day held in abeyance for 6 months at this point. Now we have to take this as a different.
Okay.
This can't be tagged on to the first one,
No, okay.
right?
Right.
Attorney Zane, did you have anything further?
I think Commissioner Donahue may be referring to a hearing I was here on with the different client, that it was one day held in abeyance.
Okay.
And the last time we were here on June 22nd, my notes indicate that it was placed on file.
Okay, great. All right. Mr. Torres, are you there every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night?
Yeah, I,
Yes
for
or no?
the reports that are written up, I've been going through some health issues. I've been in and out of the hospital. Have the discharge papers as well. Been in medications that doesn't allow me to operate a motor vehicle, which is why I wasn't in the establishments on these nights that these incidents occurred, which not only did Attorney Zane, but myself also seen that it is a pattern that when I'm not in the establishment, that incidents are happening, which I feel that if I'm not physically healthy to be there or just can't be there, just feel that the best way to go is just not even open up for the day that I'm not going to be there, just so things like this don't keep occurring.
Who manages the establishment? You're not there?
Well, it was, I've been having Mrs. Santina, which is the one that was on the report as well. That's why from the last time, and Mike Zing also said that we took some disciplinary actions upon the reports and what was going on when I wasn't around.
Was Mr. Centennial suspended as well?
He's actually let go.
He was let go?
Yeah.
Mr. Torres was suspended. Was there anybody else?
And then one of my other securities as well was let go as well.
Why was he let go?
I just felt that felt like he didn't step up to the plate if things were to happen, and Pedro didn't feel comfortable enough that was a strong candidate to be in the establishment as a security.
Did something happen internally and that's why you made that decision, or?
Well, yeah, I reported to Ryan that an incident, which is, I believe, the next one, happened inside, which is taken care of right away, but he wasn't one of them that tried to help out.
So we have 2 terminations and a suspension at this point.
Mhm.
And I highly suggest that you make that 3
Yes.
terminations, to be quite frank with you.
I understand.
Commissioner Krieger?
Yes, I have 2 motions. My first motion is that we invite Mr. Torres back for our next meeting to report on the camera situation, which I assume will be made whole, and that we put that on the agenda. My second motion is that we suspend the license for 1 day.
Is there a second on the floor?
Second,
Second. Any further discussion?
I'd like to discuss on the motion.
Sure, go right ahead.
Calling this establishment fly-by-night is a generous description. There's no stock. You've got your cousin living there, smoking pot, and next to a gas tank. I don't think there's anyone in here that believes that you didn't know that he was living there, so it's absurd. So I seconded the motion. I think it should be more time, but That's my discussion on the motion.
Thank you. Commissioner, any other further discussion?
Does the suspended day kick in here now?
I'm going to ask the maker of the motion what he prefers for a day, a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. August 10th is a Thursday. Commissioner Krieger, do you have any preference in the suspension of the day?
August 10th is fine for me. That would make it convenient for Mr. Torres to be here.
All right. Secretary Wynn, is that okay with you, getting all the paperwork out for an August 10th suspension?
What day is it? I'm sorry.
August 10th, it's a Thursday.
For the suspension day?
That's correct.
That's fine.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None? Next on the motion, next on the agenda.
Proceeding with our next hearing, which is on the allegations of misconduct as charged by William M. Taylor, the Superintendent of Police, to the License Commission dated July 11, 2017. It's regarding the allegations of misconduct against Alexander LLC, doing business as Vibe Restaurant and Lounge, Alexa M. Torres, manager, all alcoholic beverages restaurant licensee at 179 Central Street. This would be the incident dated July 9th, 2017.
State your name for the record, sir.
Attorney Michael Zane for Alexander LLC.
Once again, Mr. Zame, can I expect a waive the complaint reading?
Yes, you can.
All right, you may proceed.
As you've heard earlier, some of the testimony with respect to this particular incident, and I do have some medical documentation that I present to the city and to the commissioners, if I may.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The purpose of the documentation that was provided is to show that he had sought some medical attention for some medical issues that he's having. As you know, he does also have another job. This documentation was out of work, and you'll see that the medication that was prescribed, not only the pain, but the medication he was on prevented him from being at the club. With respect to the incident, once Mr. Torres found out about it, obviously you've heard he's taken some steps. Appears there was the ball was dropped, and there were, from our information is that there were more than the capacity. I think, I'm not sure if it was Sergeant Florence who estimated to be about 100 people, and I think that might be a little generous on Sergeant's part, so. They dropped the ball, and there's been some corrective measures taken.
Anna, go ahead.
Could I ask Pedro Arzuaga a question?
Sure.
Were you also working security this night?
Yes.
Okay, who was operating the counter?
Lewis, that's the guy we let go.
Okay. And where were you working?
On the floor.
On the floor. And how many people would you estimate were inside?
When I asked him, he said it was 81. And when the officer asked me, I said that's what the counter was. But obviously, when I seen the floor, you can see there was more than 81 people.
So you could tell that there were more than 81 people?
Yes.
Okay. That's all my questions.
Thank you.
Could I also call Officer King in?
Sure.
Ma'am.
Officer, how were you alerted to the incident this night?
So that particular night, it was myself and Officer Deno. We were on a directed patrol across the street where we could view the establishment and the surrounding area, and some of the staff had opened the door and indicated to us by yelling across the street that there was a disturbance inside. At that point, we entered into the club to intervene.
Okay. And when you entered into the club, what did you see?
Well, first of all, on approach, we couldn't even see through the glass windows and doors because they were so fogged up with condensation due to the capacity of the individuals inside. But when we did enter through the door, we were immediately met by a large crowd.
Okay. Were you able to intervene in the altercation inside?
No, we could observe 2 or maybe more males towards the center of the floor that appeared like they were yelling and pushing and shoving. But due to the crowd, and of course, as soon as we entered, other members of the crowd were trying to exit as well. So we cannot identify and intervene between the 2 individuals per se. The best we could do was make our way to the back of the establishment where we asked the DJ to stop playing the music, and at that point we started moving the crowd outside of the establishment.
Okay. How many people would you estimate were inside?
At least 150, probably more.
Okay, thank you.
Sergeant Florence. I just called you up because I like your suit.
Oh, thank you.
All right, so, how many people in there?
I would say well over 100.
A little over 100?
Well over.
Well over. Would you
Upwards
say
of, upwards of 150.
Upwards of 150, all right. How was these, the staff and security in helping you try to remove some of the patrons? Were they?
That evening, any questions that I asked them, they responded to me. I asked to see the liquor license. It was on the wall next to the bar. I was able to see another certificate from the city which showed the occupancy load. But as far as the staff went that night, anything that I asked to see the manager. I'm not sure who the gentleman was that I spoke to. When I asked to see the manager, he was working the door at the time, but he addressed my request right away. It was Mr. Santino that night who identified himself as the manager. Mr. Azuega later also identified himself as a manager that evening. And anything that I asked them, they were responsive to.
Thank you. Anybody have any further questions for Sergeant Florence? No? Thank you, Sergeant.
Thank you.
Mr. Azuega, you've been in this business quite a long time, right?
Yes.
Security. Do you think that since you were inside the establishment, that you would have noticed that between the difference of 80 people and 150 people?
Yes. But
Good answer. Right?
in the way, I'm also taking care of security, so my responsible.
Are you head of security there? I guess I'm not sure.
Yes, I am the head
you
of
are.
security.
All right. So I figure as being head of security that you would have known the difference of, when you know that you're at max capacity.
Yes.
You can kind of ask the front door, hey, you know what, what's the count here?
Yes, that's why when we asked him, he said it was 81, and that's why I was like, it was more than 81.
Right. So at that time, now, when you
At
said
the
it was
end of
more
the
than
night.
81, was there 150 people at that time, or was he still
It was
letting people in?
over 100,
All right.
definitely.
Okay, all right. So Mr. Centennial is gone, and the other security who was letting those people in
One that was
is
doing the counter
terminated as
is
well.
gone.
Is that right, Attorney Zane? Okay, that's fine, all right. Hannah, anything else? Captain Webb, anything else? No?
Nothing else, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Commissioners, anything else? Well, I'm glad to see that the management at least took care of the staffing issue there. Have we hired additional people to take their place?
Yes, we have.
We have. Good stand-up people?
Yes.
All right, they know the difference between 80 people and 150 people?
Yes.
That's a good, okay. Absolutely, Commissioner.
I'm sorry. I think that they, hopefully, but we've had promises before that there's gonna be things taken care of. And, but I would make a motion now to suspend the license for 2 days, make it the next 2 days, the 11th and the 12th. Suspend the license for violations on this date.
Is there a second on the floor?
Second.
There's a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The suspension will be, Secretary Nguyen, August 11th and August 12th. 3 days concurrently. All right. Next on the agenda.
Commission will now proceed with a matter of a communication from William M. Taylor, the Superintendent of Police, dated July 24th, 2017, regarding allegations of misconduct against the licensee Alexandra LLC, doing business as Vibe Restaurant and Lounge, Alexei M. Torres, manager, the all alcoholic beverages restaurant licensee at 179 Central Street. This is a date incident of July 15th, 2017.
Motion by Commissioner Krieger, seconded by Commissioner McCarthy, set a hearing for August 10th. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
If I might,
Oh, Commissioner
before we,
Donahue, go right ahead.
two,
Sure.
first, Attorney Zame, do you want those medical informations back? Or would you prefer to have those for your client, or?
No, we have those are just for the record, so
I just didn't know whether you wanted to keep them as personal information.
no, we the
Okay.
information, there's nothing on there that should have been redacted from that document. And
Okay,
it's,
fine. I just want to protect.
That was for the record and for each of
Okay.
you to review it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zane.
And
Mr. Torres?
one
good
other-
luck. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Commissioner Donahue.
I'm sorry, I had one other matter. We received an email from some citizen about a problem behind Dudley's. I don't know if you had the opportunity to read that, but I wonder if we could communicate with Dudley's. The lady indicates that she lives across the street in private property, and bottles are being thrown from Dudley's into their dumpster, and they're throwing out the bottles late in the evening, and I just wanted to make her aware that we have received the information from her, and hopefully she would notify the police in
Can
the
we have,
future.
can we have the police department follow up on that, Captain Webb?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank
Anything
you.
else further?
Yep, all set.
Motion by Commissioner Krieger, seconded by Commissioner McCarthy to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Everyone have a good night.
I thought that was an interesting email.